Welcome to the Bergreens. We are out of the office, so leave a message at the beep.
We are actually out in the field today. We're on a 3-day backpacking trip in the Indian Peaks Wilderness, and we have all 1 million of our mosquito friends with us.
So the kids are in the tent taking a break from the sun and the mosquitoes, and the big hike that we did today, we wanted to get above tree line to where temperatures would drop a little bit and we would have a little bit less mosquitoes. Not to mention the views were incredible, the lakes, the waterfalls, the wildflowers.
And it brings us back to our roots because this is where it all started for us.
It's really
My gosh.
In our vision for this video, there was not 1,000 mosquitoes flying around. Okay.
It brings us back to our roots where it all started for us. We met doing outdoor adventures, and backpacking was a big part of our life when we first started taking pictures.
Yeah, so we wanted to bring you along and show you where we go to reset creatively, what we bring, and what we shoot while we're out here. So starting with what we bring, as we mentioned, we're here backpacking with our 2 children that are 8 and under. So mostly what we brought was carrying tents, sleeping bags, sleeping pads, and food for all of us. We couldn't really bring that much camera gear, not just because it's heavy, but because there's just literally no room left in our backpacks. So how did you decide what to bring?
Well, I would have brought the 16-35, but somebody dropped it on our last photo shoot. So when they told me it was not repairable, I ordered another one, which is on the way. So plan B was to bring the 24-70, which we are filming on now. So that's the Sigma 24-70 DGDN, and I'm filming on the Sony A7IV. And we also brought the 35mm f1.8 as a backup lens.
Which maybe I should take it out of the bag because we haven't even taken it out of the bag yet, but it's always good to have a backup lens because, as he said, we dropped to the 16-35 on a shoot. Was that a week ago, 2 weeks ago? And if we didn't have a backup lens, we would have been screwed, right? This is just backpacking, worst case scenario, we can't take any more pictures, but on an actual shoot for a client, it's good to have backup lenses. So it's always good to have backup lenses. What else?
Yeah, so hand me that bag there. We brought, this is the Shimoda top loader, part of their new side country bag system. And I'll be doing a review on this along with the backpack that goes with it. But this was perfect for our kit because it fit the Sony camera and lens that we're filming on there and our backup lens. Plus I brought a GoPro and our little audio recording from DJI, and it all fit in this tidy little kit. And most of the time this was just slung around a backpack, and I was using the Peak Design capture clip on a shoulder strap, which I find is a really nice thing to have while backpacking because it just keeps your camera right here. And it's a little bit better than a strap because it's not swinging around and you can shoot more freely when you don't have a camera strap on.
We also brought the Lowepro Runabout, which we've done a review on. We didn't actually bring the camera cube for it because we ended up only bringing the 1 camera, but had we brought 2 cameras, we would have brought the little camera cube that fits right in the back of this. But we brought this pack anyway just because it's such a great day pack to have. So we were able to go on a day hike today and have this little backpack that rolls up really small when you're not using it, but fits your camera when you want it to. So you can check out those reviews for that gear.
Yeah, this will be an upcoming review, and this you can check out the video here in the corner. And we also brought a little tripod that we're filming on there, which is our ultralight compact travel carbon fiber tripod. I'll put a link to all the gear down in the description in case you want to go check anything out.
Mark and I met in college on an ice climbing trip that was part of an outdoor adventure program at the school. And we both had a love for the outdoors, which became a big part of our relationship. And we started doing a lot of hiking, a lot of backpacking together. And he would always be in the back taking pictures of wildflowers, and we'd be wondering, do we need to wait for him? But he would always just catch up after he was done taking the perfect picture of the wildflowers. But the longer and more time we spent together, the more I wanted to be a part of that, and instead of just be waiting around for him, have my own camera. And so I remember this one specific backpacking trip that kind of was a turning point for us.
Yeah, I think we were starting to take photography more seriously at that point and bring it, I think at that point it was kind of a side hustle, maybe starting to be more professional about it. And we went up to Sequoia National Park and we went on a probably 3 or 4 day backpacking trip, hiked into a lake, climbed a mountain, spent some time taking pictures and encouraging each other to challenge ourselves creatively.
And I remember specifically some of the scenes because I remember talking about what is it about what we're seeing that we want to take home and show somebody, what is inspiring to us. And there's this one really cool like Pac-Man rock, and we were trying to figure out like how do we capture this and how do we do it justice. So like what do you think is our way of doing a place justice, or what does that even mean?
And we pull things from out of the dirt, and our story gets...
Yeah, I mean, I think it starts with not shooting in light like this, which is why we're filming this video right now, so that we can be taking pictures later in the most beautiful light. And I think it also comes down to choosing what is the most important element that you're trying to communicate in terms of sharing that experience with other people. So distilling down and making sure that you include the essential elements, but not including a bunch of extra visuals in that frame, so that it can be very simple and direct and communicated effectively, and that helps it relate better to the viewer.
I almost think you have to like make a place look better than it is in order to make it look as good as it actually was. So you have to, like you said, like eliminate the distractions or get the best side of the flower, get the best side of the lake. Because, you know, when you're standing in a place, you have this 360-degree view, but when the camera only can like show one thing, and so you have to make sure you're showing the best thing, which is interesting. So this 24-70, back to gear for a second, as we said, normally we would have the 16-35 on a trip, and that's been constant for the past 20 years that we've been shooting together, 15 of those being professionally. And it's weird not having the 16-35 on a backpacking trip.
Yeah, it feels limiting to be working with a 24 millimeters, especially when you go to film in 4K 60 on the Sony A7IV and it crops in to more like a 35 millimeter in a 16:9 format, and suddenly it's a very limiting frame to work with.
Yeah, I mean, we shoot like photo and video on the same camera, and I've been, you know, taking photos, and I'm like, okay, let me get some B-roll of the same scene, but when I go to switch it over, it's like suddenly I'm like so constrained by not having the wider focal length. Other than that though, like it's kind of fun actually shooting with the 24-70. I don't usually have that 70 millimeter, and to be able to have some compression is kind of cool without having to swap lenses.
Yeah, I think the other challenge is, you know, we've got our kids with us, so we're not 100% focused on photography this trip. This is also a family trip, and we're just trying to enjoy ourselves, and this is their first experience, so we're trying to make it fun for them and just reset ourselves. And it's not a commercial project, it's not a personal project per se, it's just out here having fun, enjoying what we're capturing.
Enjoying the mosquitoes. And, well, and I think that there's an element of like, sometimes we would both want to have our own camera, and right now we're like sharing a camera. And to be fair, after 20 years, we've gotten good at sharing things, but only one of us can really be shooting that at a time anyway, because one of us has to be managing them. But it's interesting, sometimes one of us will see something and want to take a picture and be like, oh, make sure you take a picture of that. One thing that we've learned, if you happen to shoot with somebody, it's best to just, if somebody wants a picture taken, just let them take the picture. Because my vision and your vision, even though we have a very similar style and there's a lot of consistency in our work, our vision is still different.
We still don't see scenes in the exact same way. And so I think that is an important element to explore and be able to communicate like, oh, this is what I'm thinking, and talk through like your visual style and what is it in that scene that you see, whether it's the layers or the texture or the color or the depth. There's, you know, elements that obviously jump right out at you, but if you're trying to tell somebody, hey, take a picture of that, it's important to communicate what they're actually trying to tell.
Well, that's one of the advantages of shooting with somebody, is learning from them. Like, oh, I didn't even see what you saw.
Right.
But now I can train myself to see things differently. So, you know, having your own visual style, but then also learning from other people's visual style is a really good thing.
So when we were deciding what to carry, it was limited by our pack size on this trip, like we mentioned. So I decided to bring the GoPro just to shoot some B-roll and have some behind the scenes footage of what things looked like. So All the photos we'll show in this video will be taken on the Sony A7IV, but we'll shoot some behind the scenes with the GoPro, just because having a second camera was a bit of a burden when we already were carrying gear for 4 people.
So I mentioned in the beginning that part of why we're here is to creatively recharge. I think that there's something about being in a place like this that is good for us.
Yeah.
And what do you think that is?
Yeah, it's really simple, and I think it gives you challenges, like when you forget things and you have to make do.
We forgot toilet paper on our kids' first backpacking trip. Of all the things to forget, just saying, don't forget the toilet paper. Check the packing list. We even have a packing list for like everything, and guaranteed toilet paper's on the backpacking packing list, and yet here we are.
It's in the truck.
It's in the truck.
We might cut that out. Yeah, I think it's important to have constraints, whether it's your creativity or just the simplicity of you have whatever you can bring on your back. And I think coming out here simplifies life. There's no distractions, there's no cell phone service, there's no really anything to do besides just be and just enjoy the environment and see what happens.
Yeah, I think that we're also, and maybe I'll just speak for myself, but I think I'm also most inspired by the mountains. I'm inspired by a mountain lake and the alpenglow on the peaks and mosquitoes. No, gotta stop talking about the mosquitoes. Like, there's things about being out here that feel inspiring to me, and also cleansing. When I'm away from the house, when I'm away from the to-do list, when I'm away from the computer and the cell phone, I don't even have self-service up here. It helps me just like clear everything out and think more clearly even about what our goals for the rest of this year are.
Yeah, there's really an opportunity to just sit and be and think about what's important, and it strips away all the unnecessary things in life and puts you in an environment that lets you appreciate what you have.
And we also end up having like really good conversations about what we want and where we're going and what we need. I mean, today we had a lot of conversations about stories that were to keep kids entertained, but even so, being out here creatively inspires us with our camera, but it also inspires us with like connecting with what is it that we really want from our career, from our life.
Yeah, I agree.
When you look at a scene, how do you decide what you want to shoot and from what angle and why?
That's tricky. Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things about backpacking is that when you're just like walking through all these scenes and constantly visually stimulating environments all day. And so, you come across a field of wildflowers leading up to snow-covered peak and mountains and rocky cliffs, and it just like jumps out at me, and I don't really come across that in day-to-day life. So it's nice to be out somewhere in a wilderness area where you have beautiful scenes that just come one after another. We were down at the lake yesterday a little before sunset, and there was some nice light on this ridge line, and I think there's some beautiful reflections. If the wind will cooperate, we can get some reflection on the lake and that duality of the trees on one side and the other. And there was also a beautiful cascade of water that was coming down that will look nice in soft light with some flowers. So those are a few things that come to mind.
So we're on this 3-day backpacking trip. It's 2 nights. So yesterday afternoon, we arrived at the trailhead.
Yep.
We hiked up the trail. 2 big, beautiful things that we crossed we crossed a lot of creeks, a lot of stream crossings, but one of them was a beautiful cascade creek crossing. So we definitely stopped there and shot a few photos. That was a good spot for the kids to have a snack. They also wanted to change their shoes for the creek crossing, which was adorable. Another great viewpoint on the way up here was another waterfall that we trail a little bit.
A true waterfall. There's a cool bridge. Walk across this bridge and you look back and you can see this big cascade. So we put our packs down, hiked over to it, and it was really spectacular. It was really, all the recent snow melt was making the waterfall really big and beautiful, and so we scrambled out on some slippery rocks and took a family picture and took some scenic landscapes and enjoyed it.
And the waterfall was kind of backlit, so the mist was kind of backlit at certain times. So I was trying to capture kind of that scene. It wasn't the best light that you would choose to go to that waterfall for, but it was really interesting to look for interesting light when we were there.
Yeah, that's one of the challenges of backpacking also is the light that you choose can be constrained by your hiking itinerary. And so if you really want to make the best images, you have to plan to be in the best places at the best times of day. But that's not always possible, so it challenges you creatively to make an interesting photograph when the light might not be perfect.
We set up camp, had dinner, all of that. Woke up this morning, went and hiked up above tree line to get away from the mosquitoes, to get to some cooler weather, to see the beautiful lakes. And it wasn't perfect light for shooting, but there was still lots of beauty to capture and lots of things that were interesting to photograph.
Yeah, I really enjoyed just being up there, and you get grand views of the wider terrain, and the alpine lake that we hiked to was still partially frozen, which was really fun. And there was very few people around, which was nice. And it was just a great hike all around.
And so all we really have left is dinner, and then sunset tonight, and then tomorrow we'll hike back to the car.
Yeah, pack up, hike out, and go get a burrito.
Yeah, and then we are going back to the office.
Which we will be bringing more gear reviews and photography tips and tricks. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. And
we'd love to know where you go to get creatively recharged. What is the scene that started it all for you? What inspired you to make photography more a part of your life? And then we challenge you to make sure that you take some time to return to it. I mean, we don't get out and do this as often as we would like to. A lot of times we're doing things because we're on assignment. And so doing something just for us feels really good. And I hope and challenge you to do the same.
Yeah, if you have any questions about what we did, our philosophy, what we brought with us, I will link the gear in the description below, but leave a comment and let us know what your next trip is and how we can help.